Welcome to the Back Nine Six Pack with Mitch and Justin. Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to the Back Nine Six Pack. My name is Mitch, joined as always by my esteemed colleague Justin. How about that scorecard playoff yesterday?
Yeah, that was bullshit. I'm just gonna call it what it is. We played at a course with no head pro, and the kid in the clubhouse was like, I said, "Hey, how was the scorecard playoff done?" And he goes, 18 back. And I was like, that's not how a scorecard playoff's done. He goes, well, that's how I do it. And I was like, well, how you do it's wrong. And just walked out. It was a tough scene. Look, those outings are not, we like to win them. It's not about winning. We still had a blast.
Oh, yeah.
But it's something about knowing we won, because if I went back, and kind of talking with the guys that did end up winning the scorecard playoff, like, we would have won the scorecard playoff.
Right.
Like, if they did it the proper way. We still had fun. I had a blast.
Yeah, I will say I've seen or been a part of other outings where they do it that way. I don't know why that's done that way.
It's not right.
Yeah, it makes total sense to go by the handicap of the holes and who had the best score on the hardest holes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and we just happened to par the easiest holes, which is not a bad thing typically in the scorecard playoff,
right.
But
yeah, well, when we started
according
on
to the 19-year-old kid in the pro shop that did the scorecard playoff, I was incorrect.
Yeah, and we started on 18. It's a downhill par 3. No excuses. Like a 125-yard hole.
Yeah,
we just didn't hit a good shot.
It was like 130 playing 125. Yeah, and we just first hole, first swing, just parred, and apparently that hole cost us amongst other pars that we had that day. But,
yeah, 17 under usually pretty good in that outing.
Yeah. And
we've gone as low as 21 before.
Yeah.
We've had some days.
We had mulligans in the barrel still.
Yeah.
That we didn't even use.
Probably should have burned them more on hole 3 on the eagle putt. Probably.
You live and learn.
Yeah.
But the scorecard playoff thing pissed me off. But we got a skin.
We did.
And
which we then took to the bar and tried to roll it on Keno.
Parlayed it into a Keno ticket, in which we won an additional $8.
Yeah. I'm not a math person, but it sounds like it was about like 12% gain.
Yeah, hey. Just keep rolling in Keno. Maybe it'll turn into 25%. But,
yeah, I had, full disclosure, never played Keno before, but you had me locked in about halfway through the rolls.
I think a lot of people in that bar hated us because every number that popped up, it was either like completely devastating or the greatest thing that's ever happened in our lives.
Oh my God, that one draw where we started with two of the first, the first two numbers were
so
ours.
Hot.
Oh,
I thought we were walking out of there 100 airs.
Yeah, I know, me too. Anyway,
but
that was wine outing. Always a blast.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, a lot of stories that came out of it.
Somebody made an ace, which by record is an ace in a scramble count.
Yes, it does.
Okay,
100%.
We're on the record.
Absolutely does. Yeah, on the hole we parred.
Of course. Yeah.
And then we got blamed for videotaping for Ryan shanking the ball, which I don't know how that's possible.
Yeah, I just got that video holstered. We'll wait until the appropriate time.
It might even be this Friday. We might release it this Friday.
Yeah.
He's just going to get so exposed.
Nobody else had a problem getting on camera.
And you know what? It makes it even better because when we were walking out of the scramble, you would have thought no one else played on our team.
Right.
He is flying way too high right now. I'm going to go on the record.
Full credit for the eagle on 17. He made us a lone eagle.
But I'm going to go on the record. He is flying way too high for June 5th. Okay, way too high.
He needed to holster those guns when we got to Parr's place. That's all I can say.
He was just loud and aggressive and offensive to us.
Yeah.
Whatever. Well, we move on.
We move on to something else I don't really want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm being the longest Monday in golf, right, with the U.S. Open qualifying. Let's just put it this way. If I was in the situation that I am in league, I would be WDing after the first 9 holes.
Oh.
Like, I'm so far down the list. I looked at it today. I'm like 39 points behind the leader.
Oh, if you're 39, then I'm like 40.
You were a little bit further down than I was.
I didn't see an update for last week. It was only through week 4. So.
I think it was, yeah. So
either way, my team, I somehow didn't score any points just despite shooting 38 finally, having a good round.
Yeah, and we played together, which was magnificent.
Oh.
Fed off each other's energy. It was the best league scores that we've shot since the beginning, a month ago. So,
but, I mean, we're halfway there, the first session, 5 weeks in. Not looking good. I think I might have 10. I'm lucky if I have 10 points. I think the lead was at like 43 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, not good at all.
It's not. So we are taking a different strategy from here on out. We are strictly skins. That's it. I don't even care about my score. Like zeros. We're just going to be running putts by. Nothing's going to be left short. We're going for skins.
No, I support that.
And this whole talk about how bad we've been in league this year, I'm cracking this right now. So.
Oh God, you're right. That's what we need to do. Still packing a punch.
I know. I'm telling you, we have it, and we've a couple people said the same thing. They're like, you know what, my Miller Lights are popping a lot harder recently. Good for them.
Who could say? Speaking of our golf game, since we're on the topic. Thought it was about time we're halfway through the league season session, sorry. We're in June. We've got like a month until, big time tournament season here.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple weeks for me for start of kind of some tournaments I'm playing in as well.
And you've probably got the match play and other stuff going on too.
Yep.
So yeah. How are we feeling about the game right now?
Well, pretty good. I've had some really, really, really bright spots. You've seen a couple of them where, like, I'll go 5 or 6 holes. Like, I'm hitting the ball through a 2 or 3 inch circle. Like, wherever I want to hit the ball, it's going exactly through that circle, or that, that window that people talk about. And then, like, I'll go 3 or 4 holes where I'm not even hitting a 10-foot window. The inconsistency right now is just a disaster. And early on, I was really shaky with the putter. And I think we kind of talked about it. Like, I've become a lot better putter. And then, like, to start this year, I'm, like, completely regressed to what I was doing the previous 10 years. And we're starting to find it a little bit. We're toying with some things, little different grip, a little different mentality. But we'll see. But I like where I'm at right now. I know some of my scores don't, show it. But it's all about the process, right? Process mentality rather than a results mentality. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, I will say about your putting, Wednesday night it looked really good.
Yeah, see, I'm starting to figure it out.
And I think you can't even count yesterday with the scramble. It was much slower greens than we're used to playing. You got to putt maybe like every
5
other
or 6
hole.
times.
Yeah, fortunately we were making.
And then it's always the ones that's like 30 feet away. It's like, well, no one made this because it's 35 feet. It's like, how many are you realistically going to make of those in one round? One, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean,
it's been good. I've got my shaft back in my driver. Driver broke, 2-3 weeks ago. Finally got the shaft in from Titleist. I feel a lot better about that. That other shaft just wasn't quite right, and it was a little longer. I felt like my swing was getting longer, and I was getting looser with some drive. So having that back is going to help too. Yeah,
it seemed like you were, with that shaft, at least from my opinion, looked like you were launching a little higher, like you had like a spinnier ball.
A lot more spin on it for sure.
I mean, some of the drives you hit yesterday, good night.
They were fucking piss missiles. I kid about that one I hit on 3, and I'm like 178 ball speed. Knowing how far it went now, I guarantee I got over 180. Because I unleashed on that. That was all I had.
Yeah.
And I think all I have is probably like a 182 to 185 ball speed, which would be equate to 320-ish, 325. It was a little dry out there, so it probably went about 340 after roll. But
yeah.
But that was unleashed. That was really my second swing with that driver with the shaft, because I put it in literally the day we played. So, But I feel good where it's at. Like, again, it's all about the process, not about the results. So,
Yeah, so for me, I think I've got the Waffle House ball out of the bag for the moment.
I'd agree with that.
And this is when I know I'm close, is when I'm hitting it like I was yesterday, where I'm making really good contact, but everything's falling left.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Because even
you made good contact with the ball yesterday.
Yeah. And it wasn't like I'm straight pulling them. Like, it's just the ball is turning over.
Yes.
So, like, I know it's in there. I know we're close. I think a couple of the shots I hit yesterday were examples of that, like on the drive on, 13?
Yeah.
Money ball.
That thing was smoked.
There's a couple irons that were encouraging, but I think it's close. Putter feels really good still. I'm not going to lie.
You were I have putter envy of you right now. The way the ball comes off your putter.
Yeah, I don't know
exactly how I wish I could have my ball come off my putter.
It's weird to describe. The only way, like, I noticed it yesterday. Like, it feels like the ball is just like hugging the ground. Like, it's like almost like the roll is so pure right now.
Yeah,
I don't know
it really
why.
is. You always have had a really short, compact putting stroke. I wish I could get myself to do that. Every time I try to get myself to do that, I can't. But it just comes off like end over end.
Yeah.
You know, it just seems like it's on the ground immediately. Because if you really videotape a putt, sometimes a lot of people, the ball's up a little. Yours just comes off end over end. It feels like it's never off the ground,
And it's
which
crazy.
is always a good thing. You know, that means you're hitting really solid putts.
Yeah, so that's putter's feeling good. The one spot that wedges are just for whatever reason give me a little difficulty right now. Both distance control and just like contact. Like there's a couple, well, not a couple, but like one specifically yesterday where it was like I might have hit like 2 inches behind the ball.
Yeah,
it
you did.
It was not good. So we got to find the bottom of the swing with the wedges, and I think we'll be all right.
Just do the Tony Finau drill where you're like, you know, you're trying to top them, and then you're trying to hit them fat, and then you're trying to hit the center of the ball. And then you're trying to hit them perfect. And he's like, that's how he finds where the club head is.
Yeah, sometimes what I'll do is I'll like start looking at either the front of the ball or just in front of it. And that seems to help me find like the right
medium.
contact point instead of hitting the back of the ball and behind it. That's when you get in trouble. So I don't know, we'll work on that. I just don't practice. So
it's like trying to figure it out on the course.
Yeah, which for me, I think that's a better way to figure it out anyway, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but I think you've turned. We've played so much golf the last week and a half that
I know
I've seen improvement every single time.
The last half of May was bleak for me.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
It was not good. So,
That's enough about us, I guess.
The Memorial.
Man, it was a tiring week, but it's always so rewarding. Like. I told people this multiple times last week. I think I even said it last week. There's not going to be a year where I don't go. Like, I'm going to go every year. Like, God-given, I go every year from here until I die. It's a rewarding week. I was just absolutely beat. I mean, for those people that have never been to Muirfield, most of the pros say it's the hardest walk-in on the tour, like on the tour schedule. As far as just the place is massive.
That's what I'm saying. The walks between some of the holes, I'm sure.
The walks between holes, the place is massive. And then the tag sweep all that together, it's hilly.
Right.
So, but I was completely worn out. But Wednesday and Thursday were awesome. I kind of I think I sent a Snapchat to our group and I was like, Scotty is searching for something on the putting green. He looks so lost. He had like 7 putters out there with the Scotty camera rep. Ended up taking 3 with him. I'm like, that's never a good sign.
No.
And
if you have 3 putters, do you even have 1 putter?
you don't.
Right.
And clearly he didn't. He was dead last this week in putting.
Yeah.
No, man, it's so awesome. Kids had a blast on Wednesday getting autographs, and Tyrell Hatton is the freaking man. So my oldest gets an autograph from John Rahm. Two groups later, Hatton comes along, obviously known, just speaks with his mind. He's like, grabs her flag and he's like searching around. He's like, oh, perfect. I'm going to sign right next to John. And like signs like slightly over it. Like, my daughter's like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
But me and my dad were back there just dying laughing about it. It was pretty funny. It's like spot on to like what you see from him on TV. Like there's no difference.
Yeah.
Like on or off camera. And then Thursday I think I was on our Instagram and we were out following some of the big names played in the morning. Turned out that one group had the winner in third place in it. You know, Scheffler and Hovland played together the first 2 days. This was cool following them for a couple holes. Shout out to my guy, Justin Lower. A lot of people may not know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's his second year on tour.
Yeah, I think so.
Small college kid, went to Malone. I played some junior golf with him. And like I haven't seen him in, I said 10 years. It's probably been 14 or 15. Immediately knew who I was when I was sitting behind Fort Green, which I thought was super cool. And I've always kind of rooted for him just because he's got if you don't know his story, I won't go into the whole thing. Look it up. There's plenty of things written about his story, and you will become an instant Justin fan for sure. But yeah, that was kind of the highlights, other than just being completely worn out after walking that course for 2 days. So.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna ask, what the highlights might have been, but I think you answered it yourself. Any fun practice round moments or anything?
You know, we watched a little bit. We kind of stood behind 9-year-old legs just would not cooperate with, But I think the fact that we as citizens don't understand how big NBA players are. You know, Luke Bryan and Andre Iguodala were standing. They were in the same group, and that was like one of the first groups we walked up on. And Luke Bryan's like 6'3". He looked like a normal sized person next to Andre Iguodala. Like it was insane. And my dad's like, "Oh, Luke Bryan's not as big as I thought." I'm like, "Dude, Andre Iguodala's like almost 6'10". It's like we would look like ants compared to standing next to him. That was cool for me because I was like, "Holy crap!" Like you see NBA players, but you don't like ever see them that close.
No,
and I thought that was pretty cool. We saw. Let's see. We saw, who was that? Pat Monahan, which was really cool for me from Train. I love Train.
Oh my God.
I was like, holy crap, that's Pat Monahan, like out of nowhere. And then Peyton and stuff like that. Del Curry was there, Steph's dad.
Yeah.
And then Seth, his brother, which I guess he's still in the NBA, according to some guy. But the worst part of the practice round was the 50-year-old men trying to get their merchandise signed.
Oh, yeah.
And literally smashing my daughter's face into a rope. And I literally was like, dude, I'm going to punch you in the face. And the security guard after they left he's like, yeah, I would have turned my head. Because they were like pushing the ropes in. It was all for Peyton Manning. And it was like, I'm like, you have like all these little kids around. And then like you have like these 3 or 4, usually have one of them always has a mullet. There was a mullet this year, again. That were just like smashing kids, like trying to. And shout out to Larry Fitzgerald, does not sign for anybody that's not a kid.
That's awesome.
Like he literally is like, he doesn't just grab. Like he looks, grabs, signs. He does not sign anything for an adult. Yeah, period.
That's the way it should be done.
Yeah. And so shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out Larry for that one. Hell yeah.
So it was good. It was good. And I could keep going, but it's always a fun week.
Well, I guess Victor Hovland, the back 9 6-pack bump.
Unbelievable.
Hell
Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, what can you say about it? The guy, it's like our award is a trampoline for people. You might be falling down, but you're going to bounce right back up. So, and even Sam Burns, another good week this week.
I know.
Like watch out. Back. He's kind of back too. So,
watch out.
But Victor's. Real quick side note, yes. Victor's outfits were much better this week.
I actually didn't really get to watch as much as I wanted to. I had just had it on in the background, so I didn't see, but I'll take your word for it. Dude, they dial them up for the majors, and it's just like true atrocities.
Yeah. It's either a big hit or a big miss, essentially, a lot of times for the majors with these clothing companies. But took Devin, my assistant, who loves her some Victor Hovland. And she immediately fell in love with his white pants that he was wearing on Thursday. So, and I was even like, all right, they're not bad. Like, that's a lot better than what he was wearing at Oak Hill. So,
Yeah.
not that I was like looking at his pants or anything, but.
Right. Well, Victor Hovland wins in a playoff over Denny McCarthy. Well deserved, obviously. I mean, he's been trending for, weeks.
It was
and
coming
weeks,
eventually. Yeah.
It's nice for him to get sort of, a statement, breakout, whatever you want to call it, kind of win. $3.4 million. Then goes out the next day and is caddying 36 holes for his college buddy.
Which is freaking awesome. Good for him because, like we said, walking that course, the Muirfield is not easy. And then he's going out the next day after grinding out a playoff to walk another 36 holes today. It's like, dude, good for him.
He might be the most FERTA Tour player for sure. There's plenty of stories too. I think even when he was like a rookie on the PGA Tour, I think he was like driving cars from stop to stop just because he wanted to travel and like see the country.
Yeah, I do remember that. Like when he first turned pro, I remember.
I heard a story where I think he went on like a guy's trip to, I'm going to mispronounce this, Lofoten Links or whatever it is in Norway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So instead of, he could hop on a PJ anytime he wants. Instead of doing that, went from like Oslo all the way up there in a car road trip with his boys.
That's pretty cool.
Like Victor Hovland is about the vibes.
He is,
and
I do, and you kind of get that feeling from him when you hear him talk or interviews, or honestly, even when you just see him like on a course like in person, you can just kind of see it's like nothing really like he's just happy go lucky, right? He's out there to have fun, and then like whatever happens, which is pretty cool because there's not a lot of guys out there like that. So like to see that. And again, like we said, he was trending towards this for weeks. Heck, I would even argue over a year or so. He was eventually going to get that big win. And honestly, I think it probably came later than most people thought, So
yeah, especially, when he was in that class with Matthew Wolff, who's now on Live.
Is he or is he not?
I guess.
I don't really know.
Colin Morikawa obviously came out and has already won 2 majors. So.
Yeah.
But, at the time when they all 3 came out, everybody thought Hovland was the guy.
Yeah, there's really no one hotter other than Scotty and Rahm. Those are the only 2 people that have had what you could argue a better year than he has, Yeah. He's had a pretty good year. And this kind of, you throw in this win, and I'm telling you, he's got a major coming up soon. And Muirfield was quite the test, and it's like the harder the course gets, it seems like the harder course gets, the more he's at the top.
As long as he doesn't get himself completely like boned with a just a horrible chipping situation or a bunker shot, apparently like that at Oak Hill, he's like just going to ball strike everything to death. So he's going to be around.
Yeah, so honestly, he might be a good setup for him.
He's a really good putter too. I don't think it's underrated aspect.
He's
of
definitely
his game.
gotten a lot better for sure.
But yeah, and then I think what is it Hoylake this year? Should be
for
the Open.
Yeah, Hoylake. Yep.
So that's honestly another spot that.
Yeah, I could see him getting it. I would not surprise me if he wins one of those at all, or even really is probably going to be, at least for the U.S. Open, he's going to be one of the top 3 favorites easily.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see just, what happens with the RBC Canadian here and all that. Like, does Victor surpass like Rory in the odds?
I would say
he's been
after Sunday after Sunday the Memorial, man. What a disappointment Rory was. Just when you think he's going to slam the door shut, it's like he just fell right down the leaderboard.
Yeah, we can go ahead and get to some other notables here. We can start with Rory.
A 54-hole lead. Like, come on. Especially with the names that you saw, like, that were right there, weren't like the bigger names. You had the, Siwoo's a bigger name, but he's not Scheffler or anything like that. Just totally surprised that he just completely melted down the leaderboard.
Yeah, he was the only guy. Well, him and Siwoo were the only 2 inside the top 10, like to start, that were over par on the round, and he was 3 over. Siwoo was 1 over. So you're in the last group. You're Rory McIlroy, and when to see the winning score of the playoff was a -7,
and he was at that.
He shoots 1 under.
Yeah,
he's in a playoff 2 under. He wins outright.
If you'd have told me before the round on Sunday that's all he had to do, I would have told you he won.
Right.
100%.
And
But on a golf course like that requires absolute accuracy, especially on the approach shots, and then he's struggling to even hit wedges accurately. That whole house of cards was probably bound to come falling down at some point anyway.
For the week, he was third in strokes gained off the tee, 44th on approach.
Oof. Yeah, that's not good.
So
that is not good.
Now, he made some back with around the green. He was second, but still, it's not.
But that course, like, if you ask anybody that's ever played it or, like, someone's caddied out there, like, when they say when the pin's in a certain position, you have to be within a 10-foot square, they are not kidding, because you can easily make bogey on any of those greens if you were slightly out of position. And I think we kind of saw that,
Yeah, and it's definitely a second shot course. I mean, I think that's why, Tiger has dominated that place, right? Yeah. He gets a little loose off the tee, but he's like pin high just for his entire career.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Which probably explains why Scheffler being last in putting this week. But first, and I think when was he first? He was up there for shots gained. No, I think he was definitely first from tee to green.
Are you ready to hear this?
Yeah.
First tee to green, first on approach, first around the green, fourth off the tee.
Yeah.
65th putting.
Which is not, again, for him to be up there.
He gained 20 strokes tee to green. I'm pretty sure I heard on the No Laying Up podcast today that was like the most all time in the strokes gained era.
Vijay Singh was the only other one I think had a slightly better. But with this course being a second shot course, it's not surprising that he came in third. If he's hitting balls where they need to be on the green, it's not surprising that he was still up there, even as bad as he putted. Oh my gosh, it was. I'm telling you, it's if he even just is like remotely average at putting, like he doesn't even have to be great, just be average. No one's going to touch him.
Oh yeah,
I mean, there's going to be tournaments where he's going to be winning by 7 or 8 shots easily if he's hitting the ball like that.
Yeah, I mean that's just crazy. It's so weird too. Like I guess it's been somewhat of an issue, like more than just outside the last like month. Like it's been a thing for a while now, and he got really hot last year with the putter. But when I think about Scotty, like I just think thinking back to that run last year, it was like, man, he was just nails.
From like 12 feet and in, it was just you would want no one else putting that putt for you other than him. Like
same thing with.
It
feels like we've had some of the same experience with Spieth, right?
Yeah. He goes through, like, when he won his majors and stuff, you're like, holy crap, the guy's going to make – when it's on the green, you're like, he's going to make it. Like, there's a legit shot he's going to make this putt, regardless of how far of a putt it was. And then now it's like he gets over 2-footers, and you're like, oh – like, you're just wondering if it's even going to hit the hole. It's kind of –
Yeah. Speaking of Jordan Spieth, first in strokes gained off the tee this week.
That is not normal.
Wild.
That's not normal.
No.
And if you would have told me that, I would have told you he won. Because a lot of his problems usually come from being 40 yards offline.
Yeah, he was 43rd in putting, though. So, again.
Still not great.
But T5, I mean, this is one of those times where it's like you look at the leaderboard and you're like, how? Because it just doesn't seem like a course that would fit him.
No, not really. I mean, he's not the longest guy in the world. Not the most accurate guy off the tee. And
I mean, he's an elite iron player when he's on.
He is an elite iron player, but off the tee. But again, that's why I'm saying if you would have told me he was number one off the tee, I'd have been like, he won.
Right.
Because that's where most of his problems come from is he doesn't even give himself a chance with an iron in his hand because he's, 40 yards offline. So, yeah, that's T5. It's still a good week, but, for someone like him, you just would expect a win at some point. And it's just, unlike Victor where it's like, oh, he's going to get a win. It feels like Jordan's like, it's like, man, I just don't know if it's going to get it. Like, he's not real, other than the RBC Heritage.
Yeah, lost in that playoff.
It doesn't even feel like he's there, but it's not like a threat.
Yeah,
I never thought on Sunday at Memorial that he was ever going to threaten to win, and he's T5. So
right. Some other names, just kind of as we're heading to the U.S. Open here. Ricky Fowler continues to keep doing it. T9 after, I mean, he could have been better. couldn't get it in the clubhouse on the back nine, but was 3 under on the front nine.
Both days, like Saturday and Sunday, that back nine bit him pretty hard.
But, I mean, he was 7th tee to green, so he's just continues to hit it really good.
He is having that would be someone that just would not surprise me if Zach Johnson was like, you're going to be playing and you're on the right. Like, he would be a captain's pick because I don't think he's in the top. He's not automatically qualified right now as far as points, just because of how he's really, this is the first year he's kind of come back and played really well. But I would not be surprised the way he's playing that he would squeeze into a captain's pick.
I mean, honestly, the last couple spots on that team, looking at a course like how we think it's going to play in Rome,
probably be perfect for him.
I mean, if you need a guy that's going to hit fairways and greens, that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But I'm so happy he's back. Again, golf is better with him around, and seeing him walk around Muirfield this week, and it just is really good for the game because all the kids love him. He's got the brighter colors on. He's just.
At this point, we're like post-hype with him too, right? Like,
we are.
We're kind of out of that, like, oh man, he's just like in our face all the time, like the most marketed guy. His like talent didn't necessarily match, or like his marketing didn't match up with his talent level.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just a guy you want to root for. So I'm glad to see him back.
And the cool thing about him is, the kids that grew up liking him are probably getting to the point where they're like in high school, maybe even in college for some of them.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he's just good for the game. When we didn't have him around, or he really wasn't in the quote unquote limelight or whatever, kind of sucked. Now he's back in it. I'm very happy, and he's pretty humbled by what happened to him. I listened to some interviews from him this week, and he was just like, "We'll never quit." He's had friends by his side. He's talking about Spieth and JT and them just kind of sticking with him, and it's cool that he's back. And that's like, I think that's got to be like a 5th or 6th top 10 for him this year.
Yeah, it's close to that, I would guess. Another name just to watch out for, U.S. Open season here, Matt Fitzpatrick. Shoots 76 in round 1, ends up T9. So, I mean...
That's pretty incredible.
He's still off the tee. Just the gains he made with driver, still, 10th off the tee this week. So, that's a guy I trust on a tough course.
Yeah.
More notables, Morikawa with Drew back spasms.
Not ideal.
Seemed like he was actually, kind of trending this week. He was playing pretty well.
He was playing better for sure.
He was inside the top 20 going in the last round. So, and then Patrick Cantlay, major 78 on Sunday. Really out of character for him on that course specifically.
It felt like going into Sunday, you're like, I don't know if I would bet on anybody else but him. The way he's played that course the last 4 years, and he's the guy that seems to be, I don't know exactly what he's struggling with, but man, there's something off.
Yeah.
Like that, especially when that happens. Like it would have been, okay, he went out and shot 72 and didn't win. But to shoot that high on a Sunday on a course that he's clearly proven that he's really good on, that was pretty surprising too.
Yeah. Okay, I think that pretty much covers at least the leaderboard portion here. I have a question for you because I know you love this tournament and this course. Like, I'm struggling to figure out what the course and the tournament's identity is.
I think if you would ask Jack that question, he would tell you a fair but tough test. Now, what that means is in Ohio weather, and we've been pretty dry. This tournament the last 3 or 4 years is, they have ways to kind of dry it up, but we've had some wet summers the last couple of years. But I heard Jack explaining it in an interview, and he was just like, a good course, like, the one he's designed at Muirfield, should make you think off the tee. It should make you think in a second shot. It should make you think about everything from tee to green. And I think a lot of holes out there do that. And I think that's why it's always one of the tougher tests. But there are certain holes on this course that are just 17 gets a bad rep. I don't think 17 is that bad of a hole. It's super long. But 16 has always been trash. It was trash before they even added the lake in. For whatever reason, I don't know what is going on with that area where that green is at, but it's always harder or more firm than every other green on the entire course. To tie in that you're hitting a 220-yard shot sometimes into that green. It's just it's almost to the point where it's like so hard it's not fair kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think Jason Day, didn't he make a comment when Jack was like doing some analysis?
I heard this. I didn't watch it live or see it live.
So Jason Day apparently said something about that hole after he hit his tee shot while Jack was in the booth talking with CBS.
It's doubling on doubling crime.
But I think the identity is I think Jack just wants it to be the hardest test outside of major golf. I mean, I think that's how he would answer that question.
Ooh. I guess, so you brought up 16 and 17. I was just looking back at the numbers, and like 16, 17, 18 played the second, third, and first toughest for the week.
Yes.
And it's just like, that's not, I don't want that coming down the stretch. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know, though, because I'm a big fan of, if you're going to win a tournament, you're going to have to close it out at least two of the toughest holes. Like, I am A-okay with that setup. Again, I don't like 16. I think 17 gets a bad rap because they lengthened it this year. It's almost 500 yards. I think it's a great hole. I think it's a great looking hole. And 18, whoever has a problem with 18, like I get, again, but this is what he was saying in his interview. He's like, it should make you think off the tee. Well, just because the hole's 490 doesn't mean you can hit driver. So a lot of people have a problem with is if you hit driver and try to thread the needle up past the bunker, it kind of drains left, and then everything kind of can run down into the second cut and then the rough. Well, then don't hit driver. Like have an extra club into the green instead of a 8-iron. You're going to be hitting 6-iron. You don't. That's what he's saying is like it's making 18 is my favorite hole on tour. I think it's an incredible golf hole. I know a lot of that's the hottest take ever.
That is bad.
But that it is my favorite hole on tour. Especially for a finishing hole.
I don't like when a hole takes clubs out of your hand.
I don't think it does.
I don't think it does either. I know it brings a lot of risk in, but it's like unnecessary risk. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to have to hit like a layup shot off the tee.
Yeah, I want to see guys. Like if they didn't hit driver, they would hit 3-wood, and probably instead of an 8-iron in, they'd have like a 6 or a 5-iron in.
I think you could challenge them differently, like with the angle or like where the pin, like something else where like it doesn't have to be about like, okay, I'm going to lay back to hit a 6-iron. I mean, I get that that's a way to challenge them. It's not my favorite way.
I get it. No, I just think it's a tough hole to finish, and it adds, again, setting up a course to add drama.
Yeah.
16, it does that, probably not in the proper way, but 17, I feel like, is a challenging hole that has some trouble on it. You can kind of get in the fairway bunkers a little bit. That's like almost an automatic layup. If you're in one of those fairway bunkers on 17, it's unlikely you could actually get to the green unless you just pull a perfect lie or whatever. But I think it creates drama, and I think that's what also a good course has is holes that create drama. And I think 17 and 18, because it's like, oh, he's got a one-shot lead. He's now playing, a really, really long, difficult par 4 that adds drama, right?
Yeah.
So
I guess
I don't know. I get why some people don't like those last 3 holes, but.
Well, so just to close that conversation, Wyndham Clark birdied 16 yesterday. He was the only guy to do it. Victor Hovland was the only guy to birdie 17.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can say, like, that's, separating players, sure.
And Victor was the only one that played 17 and under par.
Yeah.
He was 2 under in the week.
Right.
But he won. Like, he played one of the toughest holes under par, and everybody else probably played it even or way over par, and he was the one that won the tournament.
Yeah, so what I think is happening with Muirfield, and this is what I don't like, it's going into that Torrey Pines Quail Hollow bucket for me.
Really? Oh, God, Quail Hollow is trash compared to.
I think they're the tournaments where it's like.
I get Torrey
the courses
Pines.
Look the same in some ways, where it's like lush rough. Maybe it's plain firm if they get a dry week or whatever, and then it's also like you get like a quote unquote good tournament because it like stacks the leaderboards and you end up with like having
hitters.
A duel or whatever and the good players down the stretch. But I don't think it's like necessarily fun or exciting golf to watch. You know what I mean? Like, you get a good tournament, but it's not like the best golf to watch.
I get that. I do. I get it. But
versus like Riviera,
I will say
where
they've made some changes to Muirfield that I think have been really good changes.
yeah, they definitely have.
Like,
I
I
agree
think
with
the
you.
change to 5 green is awesome. Like, made it smaller, moved it back to the left. You know, just because you're laying up doesn't necessarily make it an easy shot. You know, but still going for it's kind of tough. Like, I thought that change was good. Changes on 15 with the bunkers. It was
I love 14 and 15 are my favorite.
14 and 15
stretch
are,
of the
they
course.
are great holes.
Yeah.
14's there's not a they can move the tee up. They did, if you saw, like, during COVID when they had 2 tournaments there back to back. They moved the tee up and you kind of had like a risk reward. You could go for the green. But 15 they added the bunkers in because they looked very plain before, and now they've got bunkers in. Those changes are good. I do agree. 16, I don't know what they need to do. Maybe Jack hands the keys off to somebody else to try to design a hole.
No
I don't
idea.
know. I don't know what they need to do, but it definitely. I think if you ask people, you know, the guys on tour, they would probably tell you 16 at Muirfield is their least favorite hole on tour. You would get a handful of answers that would say that's the worst hole on tour.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it would probably get the most votes. Easily. It's a bad hole. And I think it's just because of how it's set up. And, you know, again, you're hitting most of the time it plays 220 and it's a firm green.
Right.
Like, there's only like 2 guys on tour that can probably hit a 5-iron high enough to get anything to remotely stick on that green. And Wyndham Clark being one of those he's a big hitter, you know, and he hits moonshots.
Yeah.
And it's like, that would not surprise me that you told me that was the only guy that birdied that on Sunday.
Right.
You know, so like a Denny McCarthy is probably not birdieing that hole. So
I think this kind of sums it up. It's maybe a bad example because of who it is, but Keegan shot 65 Saturday, 78 Sunday. Like, I just feel like and I don't even know if that's like his fault. You know what I mean? It can just get weird on that course for like no reason.
Yeah.
You have some of these scores. Sam Bennett shot 84 on Sunday. Cooch shot 84 on Sunday. Tom Hoagie shot an 85.
But I'll tell you, and that course, if you are off even a little bit, it is going to expose you. Like, immediately expose you. And it can be that drastic.
Luke List was the only player outside the top 10 under par on the day, and there was only 8 guys on the entire course yesterday that shot under par. Like, I don't...
Yeah. I get what you're saying. It's not a major, but like, I feel like that I love a tournament being under 10 under. Like, I feel like that gives that.
Yeah, I've said that
that's
multiple
a true
times
test,
here.
You know,
I agree. I just feel like this course and Quail Hollow and Torrey Pines do it in a way that I don't find aesthetically pleasing.
It's not everybody's cup of tea. I get it. I will agree. There's some holes out there that are just kind of stupid, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. Jack's always he's always been open to making changes, and so maybe this is the year that he's like, all right, we're just gonna blow 16 up and try it again. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do, but we'll see. So,
all right. Well, I read off some of those big scores. We're gonna get to the biggest score.
Yeah, and it's a runaway run. It's got to be a runaway winner this week.
Which is amazing considering the scores I just read to you.
Yeah. And I'm so sad. I stopped following this group 2 holes before this happened, by the way.
Oh, my God.
Because he was playing with Joel Damon.
Oh,
and
okay,
so
yeah.
I was kind of following him. We were kind of walking with him on our way out. And I am so sad I did not stick around to see this. No one got it on camera, by the way, which is like even sadder.
Yeah, at some point somebody had to just like, get your phone out.
Freaking think. I mean, come on.
All right, of course, we're talking about Chad Ramey in the first round.
By the way, after like a 320-yard drive or something like that.
Yeah, well, so he shot 88. We'll let me get this pulled up real quick because I want to make sure I get this correct.
So he shot 88. I think he was like, when we saw him leaving on like 7, I think he was like 5 over, 6 over, something like he wasn't playing good.
So Chad Ramey in the first round shoots 88. It was not good. You're right.
No, he was like 5 or 6 over.
He started on the back nine.
Yeah.
And shot 41. He had 1 par.
Yep.
2 birdies.
I watched him bogey 4. He bogeyed 4, didn't he?
You mean his 4th hole?
Yeah.
Or?
No, like the front, like his back nine. So he parred there. I think he bogeyed the par 5, maybe. I watched him bogey a hole.
No, he only bogeyed hole 1.
Or maybe that's what it was.
And 8 on the front.
Okay.
Anyway, he's
regardless,
going in 41.
He makes the turn at 41.
Should have got the back nine 6-pack. Bogey's his first hole on the second nine there. Then makes 7 straight pars. Bogey's 8, which is the 17th hole. Things aren't looking good anyway. We get to 9. 401 yard par 4. I'm going to just run through this. Shot 1, 293 yards to the fairway, 106 yards to the hole. Shot 2, 102 yards to the water. Shot 3 is a penalty, drops it 49 yards to the hole. Shot 4, 36 yards to the water. Shot 5, penalty. Shot 6, 38 yards to the water. Shot 7, penalty. Shot 8.
Shot 8 was the worst one, by the way.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure if you saw it on the shot chart, shot 8 was like 30. It had to be a hosel.
Well, at that point, it's way in your head, right? So 8 goes in the water, drops 9. Shot 10.
Onto the green.
We're on the green, baby.
Finally. And it's so funny. He finally blows it past the hole. Like,
yeah.
You should have done, I don't know, on your first try, but regardless.
He's got a 30-footer. Hits at 36 feet. He has a 5-footer. The 3-putt for the 13.
Could have been a 4-putt for a 13. So, or a 4-putt for a 14. So I will take the 3-putt 13. That's a tough. And that hole is not hard.
No, had 100 yards. He just keeps spinning back, I assume.
No, I think he just chunked them.
Yeah.
I think the first 2 were chunked. I think I said the third one on the shot chart looked like I don't know, like it was maybe not like a complete hosel, but it was definitely a mega push.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's rough, and that's again, it's a tougher approach shot. But when you have a tour pro with 105 yards left, like you're sitting there thinking like worst case he's going to be 30 feet. You know, in reality, probably based on stats too. It's like the average approach from them is probably 20-ish feet. And it's like 30 feet is probably going to be worst case scenario, and the guy dumps 3 in the water.
I mean, I'm just glad he didn't run out of balls. That would have been the sickest thing.
Yeah, because a lot of those guys, they only carry like 6 balls in their bag. They don't carry a dozen, you know.
Oh, yeah, you got to do us, you know. We're a dozen plus. We got like a fresh dozen and then, you know, the 10 balls that are rattling around the bottom of your bag.
Yeah, exactly. That not the tour pros. No. Yeah, they'll go out there with a couple sleeves, and that's about it. But yeah, he's the runaway winner this week, and it's not.
I hope he gets the bump. Chad Ramey competed earlier this year. I think it was the American Express. Actually, almost won that.
Yeah.
So, hey, Chad Ramey, you needed the back nine 6-pack this week.
There wouldn't have been enough Miller Lights in that clubhouse after I did that.
No, at least he didn't pull the Dylan Fratelli.
WD.
Yeah, WD hung out. Apparently. Had a milkshake in the clubhouse before leaving the property. After he was en route to like a 96 or something.
He has more self-control than I did. When I played there, I left with 4 to go milkshakes. So
okay, but if you're going to withdraw with an illness and then go house a milkshake.
That's true. So it's like, I'm going to get one more for the road here.
Illness. Good God.
Notable for this award this week, our boy Billy Ho just nuked into the freaking sun on day 1. What was it, 86?
84, I think.
84. Yeah, still not great.
Tears were had in the press conference.
Good. I'll tell you,
dude,
though,
yeah, getting up
I'm
there
not
and
his
talking.
biggest fan, but I will say there is 0 chance I'd have been seen in front of a microphone if that happened to me.
No, that's tough for him. I mean, he's the defending champion. I mean, obviously going through some stuff with the swing right now. So good on him for going up there and, you know,
I'll tell you, after I shot my 86 a month ago, I barely wanted to take my caddy out for beers afterwards. So good for him getting in front of a microphone. And
you had to have me just sit here and roast you on, on the podcast anyway. So
exactly. I almost called in sick that day.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to move on to the longest day in golf.
Yeah, I did not get to track this like I wanted to, so I'm about to just hand you the mic. And
I did. I love today. It is the greatest. It is the greatest day. And if no one if you're novice to golf or whatever, I suggest you next year to 100% follow along. It's called the longest day in golf because these guys go out and play 36 holes to compete for a chance to play in a major, and it is truly the longest day in golf. It's a 13. We found out in Springfield today, just before we kind of started recording, could turn out to be a 15-hour day, depending if you get in a playoff or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just an ultimate grind of test of endurance, obviously golf, and mentally just draining. But I think some of the cool stories, and at least this was the coolest one for me, was I was reading Ian Gilligan. He 3 years ago had a rare form of lymphoma, was pretty much given no chance to survive. Survives, and then was in I think he played at Hillcrest out in California today. He was tied for third after the first round. Ooh. And the last time I checked, he was like just outside of qualifying. He was a stroke outside of qualifying with like 3 or 4 holes to play. Really cool story. Probably shouldn't even be alive. I thought that was really cool. There was a 13-year-old in the field of 645 today.
Yeah, good God.
And he shot 72. He shot even par in his first round. That's incredible. I mean, 13 years old. I thought that was really cool. So later on in the day, there was a playoff. I believe it was in Florida. There's a picture, and I'm going to post it on our page, like just in our stories, because this guy named Michael Brennan, he is dead. I mean, he's in the lip of a bunker, probably contemplating even maybe taking an unplayable. The guy gets up and down from a coffin. I mean, he gets up and down from a coffin and then makes like a 6-footer to qualify for the U.S. Open. Just incredible. Someone got a really good picture on the backside of the bunker, and he's like got his one leg up, and he's like looking at the situation, and he ended up getting up and down from there for par and making it, qualifying for the U.S. Open.
Wow.
And then the last story that, again, kind of materialized before we started recording, there was an 8-hole playoff in Springfield, Ohio, between Alex Shake and an Ohio native, Max Moldovin. So actually, Alex, I think, ended up winning it on the 8th hole. They got on the tee box, and apparently, I guess Miami Valley Golf Association, who ran the qualifier, was like, "Guys, this is the last hole today. If no one wins this hole, we're going to tomorrow."
Oh my God!
And Alex ended up winning, but it was a cool, and shout out to Miami Valley Golf Association. They were doing videos on their Twitter of the playoff, and I was like, "That is like." Because unless someone's out there live streaming it, like you don't. The only thing is just like what people are tweeting about, and they're probably not tweeting that much about it.
Golf Channel, like Titleist sponsors it, they like cover it. I don't know how. I didn't get to see any of it today.
But 8 holes of a playoff after just playing 36. I mean, that is just. It sounds like Max might still get in. He's a first alternate. I hope so. Going 8 holes in a playoff, man. You do, especially in that field. That's the second strong, according to the World Golf Rankings. That field was the second strongest outside of Columbus for the qualifiers, just because the pros that don't, the guys that play at Muirfield that don't get into the Columbus one, they go to Springfield for obvious reasons, only about 40 minutes away. But I thought that was cool. And it sounds like he still might get in because I guess what the USGA does with the alternates is like the first 2 from, I guess the first one from the hardest field, which would be Columbus, is like the first alternate in the grand scheme of alternates. And then it's like the next field, the next strongest field first alternate is like the next one in. You'd have to believe there's going to be at least 2 or 3 WDs. Yeah. You would think. So he still should get in. 2-time state champion, Ohio State champion. I think he's a junior or senior at Ohio State. So I hope he gets in. Everybody I've talked to said he's an awesome kid. So, and he qualified for it last year. So
sweet.
Those are some of the stories that I kind of came across today. I'm sure there's way more than that, but shout out to if you don't follow them on Twitter, Any Given Monday. He's a guy, Ryan French. He follows every Monday qualifier, not just this one, the big one. He follows every Monday qualifier. They had like a live stream going for like the last 6 hours of the coverage. So shout out to them. That's where I got most of my information from. But all in all, I mean, if you can't love golf for this like process, you got like like this one guy was like, there was like a 65-year-old in the field and like a UPS driver, and Ryan French tweeted out like he was like looking up this guy that was leading in one of the sections today. He's like, oh, I wanted to see what he did because he was like, he's not a professional golfer. The dude put on his LinkedIn that he's on a sabbatical.
Sick,
dude. It's truly an open. I mean, there was only 45 spots out of 645 guys that played today that were available.
Yeah.
So it's open, kinda, but it's truly one of the most impossible tasks to do in all of golf. So.
Yeah, what awesome.
Golf's romantic, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Speaking of just the U.S. Open, so again, shout out to No Laying Up. I caught their film room video of Solly and Tron playing a match at LACC. First time I've ever seen the course, and my God, it looks sick.
And West Coast U.S. Opens.
Never.
Primetime U.S. Open golf on a Sunday on Father's Day.
Nothing better, truly.
Count me in.
Yeah. We need more on the West Coast, honestly.
I say it all the time. I'm like, I don't remember a bad West Coast U.S. Open because you can do all this stuff for Father's Day all day. The leaders don't tee off till 5:30.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's freaking awesome. Yeah, it's great.
I know
the course just looks amazing.
I mean, obviously, there's a ton of really good, U.S. golf courses in like the Northeast and stuff, and glad they go to those, obviously. But yeah, the West Coast courses just.
Yeah, you can kind of mess around all day and still get down in time to watch the leaders. I'm doing a basketball camp on Father's Day this year, so I'm like super psyched. I'm like, we're going to be able to finish that and then get back for the leaders to tee off on Father's
Day.
Day.
My son has a flag football game at 2 that day, so we were lucky.
That would have been right in the leaders.
We're lucky we got the West Coast Open along with the early game instead of some of these other ones have been like 5, 6 o'clock. It's like
that would have been rough.
Yeah,
but I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great U.S. Open.
Do you have any bets in yet or no?
I mean, you gotta love Homa. He's at plus 2,000 right now.
I bet him before he won Torrey, and I think it was like 40-1 at the time.
That sounds about right. And I know this week it's already gone from plus 2,300 down to plus 2,000.
Yeah, he's got the course record. Like it's Homa in LA and Cali. Like
the guy just wins in California.
Yeah.
Like
he's been a little, he's slowed down a lot from his early season form, but hopefully getting back out to Cali will.
I think it's going to be good for him.
So that's the one bet that I have in right now. I mean, it just it's probably going to be the guys.
Rest of them. I think I'm going to wait. I'm just not sure. Just kind of feel it out a little bit. But
yeah, I haven't looked at the odds board right now to be able to say anything in particular.
Now, that was the only one I knew because I literally bet that today. Like, I saw it at plus 2,000. I'm like, that seems like a pretty good odds to get him at, just given, he's a member there and stuff like that. So,
right. Yeah, we'll see what. I'll wait until early next week to really, because you'll probably get some drift on some decent guys, unless, I see something I like, but we'll get there.
So we have our first fan mail.
Listener question came through the hotline.
It did via text. Let's see. Let me pull it up here. All right. So this is from our girl Kathy. Shout out to her for 2 reasons: 1, sending this text, and 2, voluntarily being around Jerry, her significant other.
And
just
Ryan,
a true
testament.
And her son Ryan. Just a true testament to her patience. But shout out to her. And again, I'm going to read this, but if you have questions, like send them in on Monday at any time, heck, even any day. We'll cover it. We'll answer the questions. It can be anything. Doesn't have to be golf related.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. So she asked, as I guess she was, maybe coming off the Rose Zhang victory, and I think she does watch a lot of women's golf. She said, "Why are there so many really good Asian descent women in the LPGA?" And that's a really good question because there are. There's obviously U.S. for the most part. If you look at the top 20, pretty much dominate, I would say, the world rankings in the top 20. There's probably I don't know, if I had to guess, 8 to 9 women from the U.S. that are probably in the top 20, which is a lot from one country.
This is good. This is a nice learning experience for me right now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
you're going to look it up.
the world
I'm going to
golf
give you
rankings.
my take on why. I think over the last 20 years, and obviously for the good of the game, where women for many years here have had access to start playing golf, I think other countries are now catching up. That includes China, Korea, Japan, Indonesia. I know there's a couple girls from Indonesia, Thailand. I think that now that they have more access to golf, it pulls from a larger talent pool, I guess would be the better way to put it. We've, for the most part, I bet women have been playing professional golf for a really, really long time here. If you look at how long women have been playing professionally there, probably been way less than half the time. But when you have access to it from more people, you're just going to have more talent pool. And Asia, I've never played golf there, but everybody tells me how great all the facilities are. Which I think you see the men's game growing with a lot of guys coming over and playing on the PGA Tour. So that's kind of my take on it. But did you pull up the world rankings?
I did. So inside the top 20 in the world, there are 7 women from Asia. That includes Thailand, Japan, and Korea mostly. There's only 3 from the U.S. in the top 20. But I guarantee you that 20 to 50 range.
It's probably pretty dominated.
It's probably a lot of U.S. players.
And I will say this, and I have a couple friends that are, they have their culture over there is when you go to do something or become good at something, whether that's be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it is, their culture really pushes focus, and obviously that golf is. I mean, I always say I have the focus of a flea on a golf course. They have that focus that their culture kind of, pushes heavily on, and I think that helps too.
All right. So immediate accountability measure and apologies. 14 of the next that 20 to 50 group are Asian. 8 are from the U.S.
That's pretty impressive.
Super well represented within the top 50 in the world.
But again, I think their culture weighs heavily on focus and hard work, and not to say that American women golfers are lazy. I just I think sometimes when we've had it for so long, not that they say they took it for granted, but I just think their culture does focus on focusing and working hard at something, and our culture's probably drifted away a little bit from that. Not saying that that's the case, but
I'd also say, and sorry if you said this because I was scrolling through the list, but I'd imagine that there's probably a ton of American women that are playing other professional sports.
Correct.
Compared to women from Asia that are in other.
It's just like our soccer, football,
soccer.
Our best athletes are playing in the NBA. Our best athletes are playing in the NFL. Our best athletes are playing Major League Baseball. That's where the money's at, right? They're not playing soccer because we don't have a Premier League over here. That's not where the money's at. So typically speaking, our football team, so I'm going to call it football because that's what it's called everywhere on both sides here, soccer, are not as good as the ones over there because the money's in that sport. Well, I would bet that a lot of money has been flooded into women's golf in the Asian countries.
Probably.
Well,
I think in general,
very, very popular. Golf in general in Asia is I bet probably outside of North America and Europe, it's probably next to it's probably pretty close to popularity there as it is here in in Europe.
Yeah,
it's gotten that way at least over the last 20 years, I think.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. So. But thank you for the question.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy.
Make us think.
Yeah, make us learn. It's always good.
All right. Most important part of the day. I did go first last week, by the way.
I'm glad you're tracking this because I just don't. so I'm asking away?
Yep, Patio Beers. And as we say, anything goes on the patio. Let's hear it.
All right. I don't know why I was thinking about this, but I was. And I'm going to let you go back in the time machine a little bit if you need to, because, our current life stage, let me ask a question, then I'll explain.
All right.
What's your guilty pleasure TV show? And I say you can go back because we have kids. I don't watch as much TV as I used to. I don't know if that's the case for you or not. But I'm talking about like something that's like notably bad. You know what I mean? Like this is not quality, but you watch it for whatever reason.
Man, I'm gonna catch so much heat for this.
Please.
I'm gonna catch so much heat for this. The Bachelor.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what it was, but prior to COVID and then like during COVID, I had a friend living at our house. That was our thing. Like we'd sit down on Monday nights and watch The Bachelor. I mean, he was single, so it was like, it was more to like see the 25 other women, like attractive women that they bring in. But yeah, it was The Bachelor. I hated myself for liking it too, by the way. Like on the record, I absolutely hated myself. And I got caught up in all the drama, looking at Instagram for spoiler alerts for the next episode. I mean, it was just, I was an utter disaster. I actually cut myself off of, like, after COVID restrictions kind of started lifting, I'm like, I'm done with this shit. Like, it's bringing me down. There's too much drama in it. Oh. But that is my 100%. I don't even think it's remotely close. That's definitely the one that I would, and I'm going to catch so much freaking heat for that. But I'll take it.
It's apropos because you've got like a flower shirt on and just the rose ceremony. Oh God, yeah, I do. What? So you mentioned checking out Instagram and some other site. You didn't like. How deep did this go? Were you checking blogs or listening to podcasts?
I was so deep in the rabbit hole.
Oh,
I couldn't even see the light. I mean, that's how deep I got into this.
The one caveat I'll give you is that, like, during COVID, content was like anything you get your hands on.
Yeah, because what had happened was the season had filmed before COVID, and then they released it.
Yep.
During, really right when everything started to shut down. Like, that was, like, the end of it, like, the last 5 or 6 episodes. I just got so hooked into it, and, man, I could tell you, like, I probably could name 4 or 5 girls that were on that first season.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to catch so much heat for this, but I was blogs, Instagram, like, I was following, I follow, like, 6 or 7 of the girls, a couple of the guys that were on the show, like, on Instagram. I was deep. I was so deep.
Man, I wasn't expecting that, but I'm glad I asked this question now.
All right, what's your now that I've exposed myself?
Yeah. I didn't have that. So the one thing that came to mind was I have no idea why, but like back in the day when the show was popular, I would binge the hell out of Catfish.
Oh.
And I have no idea why. I have no explanation.
It's such a gotcha show.
I don't know. I think I was like fascinated just by like the psychology of the whole thing.
Yeah, and the fact that like people were like just carry those lies on forever.
This is not a good show at all.
It's not a good
show. Bad.
It's not.
But yeah, I think
that is pretty bad.
Yeah, I've seen way more episodes of Catfish than I care to admit for sure.
That's God. I think I've only seen a couple episodes. Like I know what it is, and I know the whole gist behind it. But I think maybe a handful of episodes I've ever seen. And I think it was on for like 7 or 8 seasons. It was on for a long time.
And now, I mean, nowadays that's why I said I had to go back for that one. But like
that's not been on new episodes. It's not been on for a pretty long time. I think
there's so much like trash TV out there too,
so
and
bad.
I know it's like a whole genre that people love.
And now Netflix is like diving deep
That's
into
what I'm
it,
saying.
like with the Love Is Blind
stuff. You got like all these like
if that was going to be my runner up. Like Love Is Blind is
I've heard
like
Love Is Blind a lot.
I got in deep a couple seasons on that too. It was like coming down off the high of The Bachelor down to like Love Is Blind.
Oh God!
And now I'm completely off. I'm just done with
there's like the 90 Day Fiance stuff.
There's so much trash TV. Like
what are these like? There's like Love Island or some of these
Love
other
Island.
things,
You got the Sister Wives. Like TLC is like the king of trash.
What
TV.
happened to TLC? TLC used to be like the learning channel. It was like Nova and Space and all the cool shit on there. And
now like they turned in Sister Wives into like Sister Wives Finding a Husband. Dude, it's like all the like. Yeah, remember it was like John and Kate plus 8 was on there and stuff. That was the beginning of their trash thing. Was that show?
Well, then you had like the Duggar family.
Which God, just turned into an absolute nightmare. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that TLC is just falling off the. I mean,
Yeah.
but it pays. Like the trash TV pays. Like Netflix is even hopping into it
Oh yeah.
because like Love Is Blind is interesting, but it's a trash show.
Yeah.
Like it's just trash. Adds no value to your life.
I just hear. I think that's why I asked the question, because I've just like heard over the years, like just casual conversations, people talking about all this stuff, and I'm like, this stuff doesn't even enter my orbit anymore.
No,
except for someone's talking about it at work or something.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's a good one though. I like that. Catfish. Okay. It's such a gotcha show though. It's so funny. All right. So I settled on this question. This might be kind of hard to answer, but we're going to give it a go.
Great.
If we were to ask your wife, what is one thing that your wife would change about you right now? Like, if I asked her, she would be like, that's what I want differently.
She would say nothing because, of course. No, I'm kidding. And we're talking like actions,
It could
physical,
be actions. It could
anything,
be, something you do that just, it just hits one of her pet peeves.
God, you've put both of us in a tough spot here, because I know there's something.
I know the one I'm going with. That's why I asked this question. I'm not gonna corner myself with this one.
The problem is, I already know how it's going to play out. I'm not going to pick the right one, and it's going to be, how did you not? Because you don't listen. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm oblivious. There's a couple. So an easy layup dunk would be, I'm so bad at taking the stupid lint out of the lint trap in the dryer. So that's for sure one. That could just be one. But I think something deeper would be, my wife is a big-time planner, loves to have plans, loves to do things ahead of time, be prepared. And that's just not my life.
I feel you there.
And so I struggle so hard. Like right now, we're leaving for vacation on Thursday. She's been asking me for probably like a month and a half to because I'm in charge of picking. I love to pick out like the restaurants and the stuff that we go do when we're on trips.
I feel that.
That's my forte.
Well, you're not going to plan it until the last second.
Have not done it yet. And that's 2 days away. So some version of that is probably the answer.
That's probably, yeah.
I'll go around 3. We're going to go 3 deep. I'm really good at starting stuff and not finishing it. Like, specifically projects around the house. Right now, there are drywall patches all over the place that I've just
repainted.
I've not repainted yet. I'm pretty sure I installed some new locks on our front door because, kids are getting old enough to be able to open the doors and stuff. I'm pretty sure my tool bag is still laying on the ground right next to the front door like 3 weeks later. So it's those kinds of things. That's hopefully I got the right answer in that mix.
I'm pretty sure I get yelled at for these two things quite often. So my layup dunk is along the same lines, right? Laundry, but like I don't put I now have to do my laundry separate. I've been shut off from the laundry fairy that comes to our house.
Why?
Because she would do my laundry, and I would not put them up for like at least a week.
Okay.
They would just sit there, and then I would pick clothes out
to
like wear.
As a couple, the two of us are not good at that, so that's...
See, she's really good at it. She puts her clothes up. If it's not like immediately, it's like the next morning.
If there was a life skill that I could have, it would be that.
Yes,
like, it would vastly improve my life.
Because even now, when I seriously, I got shut off.
Yeah.
Shut off. I have to do my own laundry now. Like I don't get intermingled with other laundry now. I don't get clothes until I do my laundry because of that.
I respect that.
And I don't know what it is. It's just. It doesn't take that long. It takes 10 minutes.
Folding and hanging up laundry sucks. That's why.
It sucks. And I don't know what it is. Like, I've got some sitting back there right now that I did.
So do we.
And it's so frustrating. That's the layup. The one that I'm pretty sure she would say, she would probably actually say the laundry one first, but this would be the one that would be a little deeper. When I'm, like, out doing something, and that could be just about like anything, right? Mostly with you guys, I am a terrible communicator. Like when it comes, like for my job, if I got a text, like it would get returned almost immediately. But like letting her know, like, hey, we've got 6 holes left, or hey, like we went from this place to this place. I might be out a little longer. I'm just terrible at that because I just get caught up in the moment and talking and having fun, and I just forget, like just completely out the window.
Yeah, I'm probably hit or miss about that. I think I'm probably a little better than most within our friend group on that front.
You were probably the best.
Yeah.
100%.
It's probably me or Nick, I would guess.
Yes. 100%.
I will say I don't think you're the worst among us. We don't have to name any names, but you're not the worst.
But I know I'm not the worst. Yeah. I just know that if you were to ask her, that's exactly what she would say.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Like, I think.
And it's not on purpose. Like I always try to say that. Like it's not on purpose.
Yeah.
It's like I just get, and you know how I am. Like I start talking to people. Like I just get caught up in the moment and I just forget.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Like kudos. Like we have a family thing, Life 360. I'm sure people have heard of it. And when we first got him, like she's going to be tracking me everywhere. Kudos to her. She does not use that much, but unless I stop, she knows when it's going to happen because I'll be texting her and then it's shut off for like an hour. Like I don't send another text. And then that's when she goes like, well, I had to make sure you weren't like in a ditch somewhere, like dead in a car accident or something like that. But she's like, that's the only reason she uses it. But like, she knows when it's going to happen now. Like it'll just be an hour without nothing, like no text, no nothing, no hey, or if she asks me something, and then it just inevitably happens when I just no communication. So I would say it would be one of those two things for sure.
God, that was a great question. I'm surprised we didn't get to that one sooner, honestly.
I know. Oh, I got an even better one next week because when I was thinking about this one, another one popped in my head. So we'll get to that next week.
All right, sweet. Okay, well, that was Patio Beers. Loved it. Not much to close out with other than we do have more Patio Beers hats.
We do have more hats.
If you want one, now's the time. Get in on the ground floor, people. This is an investment.
Yeah. This is the OG Patio Beer, the back 9 6-pack hat.
Yeah.
But more to come, though.
More to come. We're shout out to my guy Brad. We got the logos. We got all the files we need. We're going to be cooking.
Absolutely cooking.
In the merch kitchen.
Get me in the kitchen. Let's go.
So stay tuned for that. Other than that, everybody, week before the U.S. Open, RBC Canadian Open, enjoy that if you're watching golf. Great weather. We're still dry in our part of the world. Hopefully it's dry in yours. Get out and play. Other than that, we'll see you out there. Cheers.
See ya. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Back 9 6-pack. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Back 9 6-pack for all your content needs. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.